a proposal to the U.S. Department of Justice for a federal residential reentry center in Augusta, Georgia. Western Alternative Corrections has been providing residential reentry services since 1998. We run a 50-bed facility in Hastings, Nebraska. We became aware of the Bureau's intent to place a residential reentry center here in Augusta several months ago. There's numerous things that we look at when we decide if we would like to gather information and then ultimately submit a proposal to the Bureau for a project like this. Just a little bit of a background. I want to share with you that it's not Western Alternative Corrections coming to town and saying, hey, we'd like to put a facility here in your town. The U.S. Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Prisons does their own research, and they are the ones that decide where their facilities are going to go. We simply respond to the request for proposals that are out there. Right now, there is one out there for a federal residential reentry center in Augusta, Georgia, and we are going to respond, hopefully, to that RFP. The process that we have to go through is in accordance with the Bureau of Prisons, of course, process, the statement of work that we have to deliver services per their guidelines, as well as submit the proposal. As you can about imagine, that differs from community to community in which we work, and Augusta, Georgia has its own set of unique circumstances and processes that we need to adhere to, and that's what we're here today for, is we're here to be a part of the process according to your state law 3510 in regards to the public hearing process. We have identified a location, and I'm going to let Mark Hulting, and by the way, Mark's my brother, not my husband, just for clarification. Everybody always thinks we're married, or not. So I'm going to turn it over to him, and I also have a handout that briefly describes what a residential reentry center is, where the location is, how many beds is. It's just kind of a quick synopsis of what our plan is.
Good afternoon. I'm Mark Hulting, 101 South Hastings Avenue, Hastings, Nebraska. When Michelle and I decided to take a look at Augusta and see what was going to take place down here, we ultimately came down and spent a couple, 3 days looking at a variety of different properties, as well as researching what is it going to take. In an effort to gain that information, we met with the planning and zoning individuals. From there, we took a look at the community, and we spent time just riding around, looking at buildings, looking at what was for sale, getting a feel for what's out there. We identified some buildings that were either too big, too small, not appropriate, areas that just wouldn't work. We ultimately came across 802 7th Street. And in that, we found a building that will yield approximately 6,900 square feet of interior space. It also has a little over half an acre of land with it, which provides off-street parking for both staff and residents. We started putting those things together. There's also, to the east of us, is a state transitional facility. With that in mind, we got with Mr. Beeman, started to explore the venues, and ultimately met with Mr. Patty, and here we are today. It's straightforward. The one thing about Michelle and I is we're very transparent. We're from a small community. We look people in the eye, we talk to them, we shake hands. And with that said, that's how we conduct business, and that's how we're down here today. We had the opportunity today to meet with more of the neighborhood associations, to also meet with the director of the program across the street. And we really appreciate those opportunities and look forward to continuing to fill it out. And if there's any questions, I'd be certain to entertain them. But,
this time I'd like to hear from the community at this time. Thank you. Does anyone from the community like to provide comment?
Yes, sir.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Stella H. Nonnelly. I live at 1030 Phillips Street. I am the president for Laney-Walker Neighborhood Association, and I'm here on behalf of the community. I'm here because when I heard about this program, I went to the neighbors, the community, and the community, like me myself, we are trying to clean up the Laney-Walker neighborhood community, and we feel like we have one transition center, and another one would be helpful to us to get our neighborhood cleaned up. We have a lot we need cleaning up and safety in the Laney-Walker Neighborhood Association as it is. So a lot of the community members I've talked to, we have one transition center, and we wish not to have another one, and we wish to be able to clean up the Laney-Walker Community Center better than what it is now, and not to have another transition center in our community. That is the feeling of a lot of our community people who lives in the community of Laney-Walker. Thank you. And this is my reason, because we don't see it being anything helpful to our community. We need safety, we need protection for the ones who are there now, and we do not wish to have another transition center in our community. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to bring comments on behalf of this public hearing? If so, please come forward. State your name and address for the record.
My name is William McCurry. I live at 705 Hall Street. June 17th, Laney-Walker Association, we have a meeting. Mr. Scott Brooks, he attended that meeting, and he stated that his people was not allowed in the Dayton Park. And since that meeting, I came in contact with 3 of his people in that park. I don't know them by name, but one came in the week after our meeting. And the reason I know he's been there before is because the guy he was talking to, he said, "Man, give me a cigarette." And then the subject changed, "Man, I saw your uncle." And he said, "Man, give me a cigarette." He gave him a cigarette, and he said, "You need a lighter?" He said, "No, I don't need a lighter." "I know you don't need a lighter because I know where you keep your lighter at, in the park." This guy went right behind me. I didn't turn to see where he went. He came back with a lighter flicking. That's how I knew he had a lighter hid in the park. And a couple of days after that, I was sitting in the park, and this was around 12:30, 1 o'clock at night. 2 guys came up, and they asked me that I want to smoke. I said no. And I said, one of the guys said, "Man, what time you got to be back in?" He said, "I don't know. I think he said something like 1:30. I don't know. I don't know what time those people have to be back in." But he said, between 1 and 1:30. We have young people in our neighborhood, and we was told by Mr. Wilkes that his people don't come in that park. 1 o'clock, 1:30 at night, the park's supposed to be closed. His people is not supposed to be there. If they coming over there smoking dope, that's not helping our community. It's not encouraging our children, because we do have, I don't know why, but we have young people out that time of night which they shouldn't be out. I can't control that, but they are out there. And when they're out there, they get involved with the wrong kind of people. And when they're out there smoking, And not just people from the transition center, but we have other people out there too. But it was told to us that his people are not allowed in that park. But they are slipping through the cracks somehow, coming in that park, coming in contact with our young people. That's why I vote.
Who else got any comments or questions for either support or against this opportunity?
Hello, everybody. My name is Wayne Van. I stay 822 7th Street. They're in the same neighborhood. That next house up. So my concern is, what are we supposed to do? We're in the backyard. We got one there, one there. We right there. That's what I'm trying to find out. What are we supposed to do? We're the only house there in the same spot. So that's why I'm trying to figure out what are the plans for that neighborhood. We were staying there 45 years on that corner. My mother stayed there, my dad and passed, my uncle passed, and sister passed. So some got to be done better than what's going on. We're the only ones, that's why I'm here.
Do I get your comments?
Good afternoon. My name is Cassandra Phillips Bowdry. I stay at 838 Adams Street, and it's directly across the street from the park. And the reason I'm against this center going around here is because they already have 1 year, and these guys are out of control. I don't know who's supposed to monitor them or what's supposed to be done with them during the day. But I sit on my porch and it's facing right across that park. And I'm seeing all kind of activities. And you can tell who they are because they carry backpacks all day. And they're supposed to be on work details. When they get off, they come and hang in the park and eat. And then some of them, they come up in cars, ladies out there, kids out there. We sitting on the porch, we watching them. Only thing they need is a motel room. They out there doing all kind of fine stuff. The reason I know they're coming up and down there, because when they come up in the cars, they don't leave in the cars. They leave with the backpack walking across the park to 7th Street to the Transitional Center. And I feel like, you know, it's hazardous enough over there because there's enough crime in that neighborhood already without putting these people down here and nobody's monitoring like they're supposed to. And then like yesterday, for instance, the park is supposed to be closed at dark. They got signs everywhere telling you this. But evidently, the police department is not policing the area like they should. At night, you can't sleep around there. Some kind of way they're jamming the gates open. They're getting over there with the loud music at night, like yesterday, for instance. I was at home from 12 to 9 o'clock last night. A guy was over there in the park with a big boom box. And you can even hear the TV in the house with his noise going. And see, it's enough going on in the neighborhood already that needs correcting without putting another detention center there. Because there's nobody monitoring these guys and they're doing everything. And a lot, you know, in that neighborhood, it makes me feel like nobody cares about the neighborhood because there's not that many houses still standing around there. My mother and them has stayed there for 57 years. And they old people. And you putting this kind of riffraff in the neighborhood that nobody's monitoring, and they get in there and hurt them. That's why I'm looking at it. And I mean, you know, and then I call the police every time something goes on. But they never get there. By the time they get there, everything's ceased and nobody don't know anything. They need to police their area more better than they're doing also. And that's why I feel like I'm against another facility going down there. They don't need another one in the neighborhood. They need to clean up some of the stuff that's already down there. Because it is young kids around there. And they're impressible. And they meet up with different kind of people over there. I mean, these guys, I've seen one, he comes up on a bicycle in the evening. And he hides the bicycle over there in the bathroom or behind the building and leaves walking across the park to the detention center. You know, I guess he's supposed to be on work detail somewhere. They got a certain time they be in there, but they never go down there on these bicycles or cars. They always leave walking with their backpacks on. And that's why I know they're coming out and down there. And see, you don't need that kind of stuff loose in the community because old people stay there. And they're not able to defend themselves against no riffraff like that. I'm not saying, you know, that these people don't deserve a fair chance, but they need to monitor more better than they're doing. Because they're not being monitored. And see, my parents are up in age, and they're not moving because that's their home. And they have been there all their life. And why should they be forced to move? Because they're frightened of being down in there. Because, you know, nobody's doing what they're supposed to do. And then you can't sit up all night and monitor stuff. And that's my reason for not wanting down there.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a couple points. One, when we decided upon a location, it was based off locale, but also the reuse of the building. The whole teams have a current facility in Hastings, Nebraska. I have a picture of it. It was a former depot center. I'll compare it to like our depot on Reynolds Street, not quite that size. But as you can see, they restored it. They do have some interior pictures that they can show and how that's designed. This property has a building on it, as you mentioned, about 6,900 square feet. I guess slightly less. They'll enclose one of the concrete pads. But it's a great opportunity, we think, to do something with an old building that is currently sitting empty. It's being maintained by the property owners, but we feel like there's a higher and better use of it. We thought this locale was consistent with supporting industries for this type of facility, with the Judicial Center, the 401 walk away, and other surrounding institutions, much like the state facility they referenced. So a lot went into why this property fits their needs. Let me show you a picture. This is a picture of sort of a elevation rendering of what they'd like the property to look like. They're working on 4 plans right now that they'll submit with their contract. So we feel like this is an appropriate location for the site and a good opportunity to rebuild in an area that these folks are going to be reintroduced to regardless of whether they come through a reentering facility. So it is a highly monitored process. We can spend hours talking about how it's done, and of course that will be discussed. But we feel like based on the locale, surrounding industries, and the reusability of the property, it's a great location for it.
Again, I'd like to reiterate the purpose of this meeting is a public hearing to hear questions, comments, or concerns with reference to the process, whether it's site selection, application, security, both sides are concerned for the community as well. Are there any questions from any of the commissioners at this time with reference to this concern? I have a question with reference to talk about the current facilities that you run in Nebraska and how their security concerns. What I heard from the community is control of inmate services, monitoring, drug testing. Explain all that so that people have some information.
We could probably spend hours talking about the security measures and the accountability systems we have in place at these types of facilities. Of course, the Bureau of Prisons gives you direction as to what you have to do and what you have to provide in terms of those types of things.